Figures, by Emmanuel Keller, altered with permission, CC by ND 2.0, Katrin Caper. There is mystery behind that masked grey visage, an ancient life force, delicate and mighty, awesome and enchanted, commanding the silence ordinarily reserved for mountain peaks, great fires, and the sea. Peter Matheson, The Tree Where Man Was Born. The birth of an elephant is a spectacular occasion. Grandmothers, aunts, sisters, and cousins crowd around the new arrival and its dazed mother, trumpeting and stamping and waving their trunks to welcome the floppy baby who has so recently arrived from out of the void, bursting through the border of existence to take its place in an unbroken line stretching back to the dawn of life. After almost 2 years in the womb and a few minutes to stretch its legs, the calf can begin to stumble around. But its trunk, an evolutionarily unique inheritance of up to 150,000 muscles with the dexterity to pick up a pin and the strength to uproot a tree, will be a mystery to it at first, with little apparent use except to sometimes suck upon like human babies do their thumbs. Over time, with practice and guidance, it will find the potential. Welcome to the world. This newborn hasn't yet stood up and stretched its legs, let alone figured out how to use its trunk. Elephant Nature Park by Christian Haugen, CC by 2.0. In this appendage, flailing off its face to breathe, drink, caress, thwack, probe, lift, haul, wrap, spray, sense, blast, stroke, smell, nudge, collect, bathe, toot, wave, and perform countless other functions that a person would rely on a combination of eyes, nose, hands, and strong machinery to do. Once the calf is weaned from its mother's milk at 5 or whenever its next sibling is born, it will spend up to 16 hours a day eating 5% of its entire weight in leaves, grass, brush, bark, and basically any other kind of vegetation. It will only process about 40% of the nutrients in this food. However, the waste it leaves behind helps fertilize plant growth and provide accessible nutrition on the ground to smaller animals, thus making the elephant a keystone species in its habitat. From 250 pounds at birth, it will continue to grow throughout its life, to up to 7 tons for a male if the largest species are 4 tons for a female. Of the many types of elephants and mammoths that used to roam the earth, one born today will belong to one of 3 surviving species: Elephas maximus in Asia, Loxodonta africana, savanna elephant, or Loxodonta cyclotis, forest elephant, in Africa. There are about 500,000 African elephants alive now, about a third of them the more reticent, less studied L. cyclotis, and only 50,000 Asian elephants remaining. The Swedish Elephant Encyclopedia database currently lists just under 5,000, most of them E. Maximus living in captivity worldwide, in half as many locations, meaning that the average number of elephants per holding is less than 2, many of them live without a single companion of their kind. For the freeborn, if it is a cow, the Alem mothers, who welcomed her into the world, will be with her for life, a matriarchal clan led by the oldest and biggest. She in turn will be an enthusiastic caretaker and playmate to her younger cousins and siblings. When she is 12 or 14, she will go into heat estrus for the first time, a bewildering occurrence during which her mother will stand by and show her what to do and which male to accept. If she conceives, she will have a calf 22 months later, crucially aided in birthing and raising it by the more experienced older ladies. She may have another every 4 to 5 years into her 50s or 60s, but not all will survive. If it is a bull, he will stay with his family until the age of 10 or 12, when his increasingly rough and suggestive play will cause him to be sent off. He may loosely join forces with a few other young males, or trail around after older ones he looks up to, but for the most part he will be independent from then on. Within the next few years he will start going into must, a periodic state of excitation characterized by surging levels of testosterone, dribbling urine and copious secretions from his temporal glands, and extreme aggression responsive only to the presence of a bigger bull, who has an immediate dominance that the young male risks injury or death by failing to defer to. Although he reaches sexual maturity at a fairly young age, thanks to the competition he may not sire any children until he is close to 30. Ancient Indian poetry lauds bulls in must for their amorous powers, even as keepers of Asian elephants have respected the phase as one highly dangerous to humans since time immemorial. Until 1976, it was widely believed in the scientific community that African elephants do not enter must. This changed when researchers at Amboseli National Park in Kenya were dismayed to note an epidemic of green penis syndrome, which they feared signaled some horrible venereal disease, until they realized it was nothing more nor less alarming than the very definition of a force of nature. Other than this primal temporary madness, elephants, when they do not feel threatened, are quite peaceable, with a gentle, loyal, highly social nature. Here is how John Donne, having seen one at a London exposition in 1612, put it: "Nature's great masterpiece, an elephant." The only harmless great thing, the giant of beasts, who thought no more had gone, to make one wise but to be just and thankful, loath to offend, yet nature hath given him no knees to bend, himself he upprops, on himself relies. A foe to none, suspects no enemies. Donne is not the first or the last to view the elephant in its stature and dignity as a synecdoche for the total grandeur of the universe, come to earth in lump and grey form. Here he suggests that it represents a moral ideal as well. Animals are often celebrated for virtues that they seem to embody, dogs for loyalty, bears for courage, dolphins for altruism, and so on. But what does it really mean for them to model these things? When people act virtuously, we give them credit for well-chosen behavior. Animals, it is presumed, do so without choosing. From a religious, anthropocentric perspective, it might be said that while animal virtues do not entail morality for the animals themselves, they reveal to us the goodness in creation, as the medieval